Do we ever get to see ourselves?
No, you don't see yourself, so the only way for you to know what you look like is for somebody else to, to see you.
Can you run into other people, other players on the game?
Yes, but the chances of that are incredibly rare, just because of the size of what we're building.
Wow.
So you may or may not have heard, a couple of guys actually did in fact figure out how to actually meet on the same exact planet. We're not talking about the same general location here. We're talking about the same exact planet, which in contrary to what the developers have been telling you, have been telling me all this time, leading to launch, how that would actually be an extremely unlikely event, extremely minuscule when it comes to the chances of that actually happening. These two gamers figured out how to do so within hours of the actual release of the game. We're going into the 10th of August here. Okay, it's Wednesday. The game came out yesterday. Anyways, these two gamers coordinated their efforts, and they ended up on the same fucking planet. But no matter how hard they tried, they could not see each other. And not only could they not see each other, there was actually no sign of life. And when I say that, what I mean is, they would be on the same exact planet. One of them would try shooting or destroying a rock, for example, and the other player couldn't see that damage. Okay, they couldn't see anything. So the bottom line is this: after some trial and error, they figured out how to meet up at the same exact planet. But when they actually went to that planet, they could not see one another, nor any kinds of signs that the other person was actually there. Therefore, the internet caught fire. A lot of people have concerns when it comes to the multiplayer environment of this particular video game, as well as questions that they want answers, and rightfully so. I will say that Sean Murray did tweet something out when it comes to their servers were down or something. Before I continue, I just want to talk about what pisses me off the most about this whole situation. And that is that these two gamers were able to accomplish something. Something that these developers have claimed over and over and over again, which is players seeing each other in this game is highly unlikely and mathematically minuscule. And I just hate this idea of the achievements of these two gamers getting swept under the fucking rug because of all this bullshit. Can't take that away from these two lads. The way that I see it is this: Hello Games. Either you guys are incredibly fucking vain, you guys believe that you're the smartest motherfuckers in the room and you completely underestimated gamers to begin with, or you guys miscalculated like a motherfucker, where your math was just way off and you completely fudged things up when it comes to the numbers. And I just think it's highly unlikely. I mean, let's think about this. There's a huge difference between something being nearly impossible, highly unlikely, the chances of that happening being minuscule, and a couple of people actually do that very thing in a matter of fucking hours.
How much interaction is there with other people playing No Man's Sky?
Those were AI,
Yeah.
those wingmen. But you could encounter other players. The reality is, the likelihood of that is tiny, basically.
So he says the chances of that happening are tiny. Basically. No, there is no basically. Either something's unlikely to happen or it isn't. And some of you might be like, hey dude, you're being too hard or you're nitpicking. No, I'm not. I don't buy into that bullshit about, oh no, that's just Sean. He's just a cryptic dude. No, he's not just a cryptic dude. He's a really clever motherfucker. A motherfucker that's been misleading us for years now. For years. If you watch some of his interviews, you're going to see that he is extremely meticulous, in particular in the way he presents things, and that kind of thing comes in handy, extremely handy if you're trying to avoid accountability for the things you're actually claiming or the things you actually said. Some people see this dude as some sort of savior or something. I don't see him that way at all. I see right through this motherfucker. I'm sorry, that's just the way I feel about things. I personally see him as Todd Howard reincarnated. They remind me so much of each other, it's ridiculous. But here's the thing, I have a question. And no, it has nothing to do with the PC release being delayed. By the way, do you expect us to actually fucking believe? I mean, seriously, a game that has already been delayed. What can you possibly be doing of that importance that would take 2 fucking days? Like, seriously. Seriously. What can you pull off in 2 fucking days that is that critical to the game environment I don't buy it. You threw the word conspiracy theory into the equation. And speaking for myself personally, anytime I see someone do that, for me it draws red flags. Okay, this dude or girl is trying to fucking toss that out there to set up the fucking framework for their narrative. Because they knew people would come out and say, hey, wait a minute, Sony must have paid you off or whatever. And they're trying to negate or dismiss a lot of that immediately. Because again, with their first response, it was in fact something related to, okay, this is not a conspiracy theory or anything like that bullshit. I personally cannot prove anything. But I would bet my life that yes, something came into play in terms of this fucking delay. And it did have to do with fucking money. Okay, I'm just going to toss that out there. That's just how I feel about things. But here's my question to you, Sean. The PC release is coming. You can't delay that any longer. And someone, it's just a matter of time, is going to figure out whether or not... Well, let me just ask you this question. Are the character models in this game fully rendered? Meaning, do I have hands, do I have feet, or is the gun just floating there? If the answer is yes, then I still have hope for this thing. I think the multiplayer exists, it's just not ready, it's just not there yet. If the answer is no, then fuck you and fuck your game. You've been lying this whole entire time. Because you cannot see each other, you cannot see another human player in this universe, or any fucking universe for that matter, any fucking video game, if the characters aren't being rendered in real time. So my question is really simple. Are the characters being rendered in this fucking video game? When you think about it, it's a really simple question. And I just want a really simple answer, which is yes or no. A lot of us do. Anyways, not trying to be a fucking negative Nancy here. Again, the most important thing I want you to take away from this video is that these guys, these two individuals who I will link down below, were actually able to accomplish something pretty special. And that gets swept under the fucking rug, because now we have a ton of uncertainty, we have a ton of questions that need answering, and all this other bullshit. I, at the very least, would like to have a formal response from the developers, from Sean Murray, in terms of how they actually feel that these two guys were able to achieve what they considered to be extremely unlikely. Or, as Sean put it, the chances of that happening are tiny.
Can you grief other players?
A little bit.